Hey there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back. I'm your host, PattSun, and today we're gonna be taking a look at r/cheating stories, where OP got his cheating girlfriend kicked out. Let's begin. This is my story of getting revenge on my first girl, an ex who cheated. Posted by Reddit user Bitterweight.
I, 22 male, had a girlfriend 24 female. As of now that's our age, but this happened when I was 18 and she was 20. I had worked at a grocery store for about 2 years when she was hired as a cashier. She was unbelievably pretty and always had a smile and would flirt a lot, red flag, but being my first I was naive. I didn't think she liked me but just had that super nice personality. And we clicked and shared a lot in common on a personal level. After a few months she was texting my friend and coworker, Maddie, about me and how she liked me and thought my shyness was cute. The next day after telling, my boy Maddie showed me on his phone what she said and I asked her out after both our shifts were done and she said yes. I've never felt that kind of happiness and I don't think I'll ever feel it again, to be honest. To me, I thought our relationship was great, not perfect. Now time to get juicy. Please remember it was my first experience with a girl and a girlfriend, so go easy on me. After a while I noticed she'd turn her location off while I'm at work and then an hour or so go by and it's on but at a different house. So I asked about it and she immediately called me controlling. I apologized to her like an idiot. Then I'd noticed she'd be more touchy-feely with the buff guy who worked in supplements, but didn't say anything because I didn't want an argument. Some time goes by and it seems like she only talks to me, but one day on our lunch break she got a picture from the bag boy, 16 at the time, and it was a shirtless picture with a heart and she turned her chair around so fast. If I don't peek as she opens I would have not seen it. So I call her out and she goes classic women mode and starts saying I'm controlling, manipulating and non-trusting. Fast forwards 2 months around Christmas time, and her phone breaks so she used mine. She had left Snapchat logged in and I saw that 16-year-old bag boy again, and he sent a picture. I opened it and saw another shirtless pic, but this time it showed more lower waist than the last. So I decided to go through their messages together and fucking boom, there it always. Proof of sexting and setting times to meet up while I'm at work. Meanwhile, she told me she doesn't send nudes because it's degrading and people might leak her stuff. Mao. I'm such a clown, so what's the revenge here? Oh yeah, I screenshotted everything and posted it on her Snap stories, all of them, even her private stories, sent it to every guy in her best friends list and to no surprise, I wasn't even on the list and it was all guys, one girl, so I went through her and her friends' chat. And there again, to my surprise, they talked about cheating on me, and how her ex is home from college and that text said work for work, we love when our soldiers come home, eggplant emoji and much more. So what did I do? The exact same thing and posted it all on her story. Her friend had a boyfriend and I posted proof of both my ex and her friend cheating. Safe to say I'm never dating a Catholic woman again. Because from what she said it's just a Catholic thing as her apology to me. Also, I should mention over 200 people screenshot all her stories. I also didn't mention that she was a track star and valedictorian for her school, and was way more popular than I thought.
And then, OP posted a short update in the comments.
This was in 2019. No real updates besides her sending threats to me for ruining her life and how the people who saved all of it made fun of her cause they didn't think she had it in her. That was just the 2 posts that someone had shown me about people talking about her. Also her friend's parents who she lived with, the one that cheated, kicked both of them out. The parents that kicked them out were really religious and pretty much disowned both of them from last I heard.
Well, OP, I'm glad that the cheating hoes got what they deserve, and I'm happy that you didn't simp for her. Well done, young man. Also, there are these new revolutionary writing techniques that had just been invented a few days ago. It's called paragraphs and periods. You may want to start using it. Who knows, maybe you will be a valedictorian too. And now for today's second story. Never mess with my family. Posted by Reddit user Puzzle-Headed Bro.
My dad told me this story today over lunch, and it seemed completely appropriate with this subreddit. There are 2 things to know before I tell this story. These events took place in 1970 in a third world country where justice is obtained with one's own hand and family, for better or worse, is unconditional. My maternal family on my grandmother's side is known in her town for having outbursts of anger, the kind that blurs vision and turns everything red, and a strong temper. No one in my family embodied these qualities more infamously than my great-grandmother, Mama Delia. Mama Delia was an implacable woman, violent with her words and her fists as well. With Mama Delia, my grandmother, her siblings, and later my father's generation, making a mistake, no matter how small, was a death sentence. Mama Delia was married to my great-grandfather, obviously, a magistrate of the Supreme Court of Justice of my country, and according to my father, a good man and highly respected by all. But the moment that he walked through the door of the house, his authority ended and my great-grandmother's tyrannical rule began. Nothing was done or undone without her will, and as you can imagine, my grandmother and her siblings resented her greatly. Mama Delia has been dead for 40 years now, but stories of her are still told at all family gatherings. They also say that everyone in my family, my grandmother, who if you knew her you would say I'm lying, she is a sweetheart, and her children inherited her choleric gene that comes out from time to time in an explosive and memorable way. My great-grandparents had 4 sons, but only one is relevant in this story. Jose, not his real name. Jose was the second and the most rebellious of them all, the one who could not stand Mama Delia's mistreatment, and he let her know it all the time. He was the only one who stood up to her and consequently, the one who suffered the most. It was when Jose turned 15 that he decided never again to let himself be mistreated or abused by her. And of course, Mama Delia had something to say about it. I don't know exactly the details, but something my uncle did that upset her deeply. Years before, Mama Delia would have responded with leashes and screaming. But since my uncle was already 15, he was taller and stronger than her mother, she had to resort to an alternative tactic. She decided to call a policeman to the house, and what was her instructions to the policeman? To give my uncle the beating of his life. That was the last day my great-uncle lived at his parents' house. But where I come from, family is the most important thing, impossible to escape. 4 years later, my great-grandparents had moved to their new house in another part of town. Next to them lived the Cordobs. The parents, normal people, but the son, Ruben, was another story. Ruben was about 25 years old. Ruben did not study, nor did he work or help with household chores. I don't this know for a fact, but I can imagine it. Ruben spent all his time and energy on 2 things, growing his muscle mass until he looked like an Andy and Arnold Schwarzenegger, and insulting my grandparents every time he saw them walking down the street. My dad couldn't tell me why. Maybe Ruben was just like that, or maybe Mama Delia said or did something to him at some point. I wouldn't be surprised either. What he did tell me was that Ruben's aggressiveness towards my great-grandparents was so extreme that he wouldn't even let them walk on his side of the sidewalk, claiming it was his. My great-grandparents never did anything about it. My great-grandfather had his first child at 46 and my grandmother at 36, so they were already old by then, and for some mysterious reason, they never told anyone what was going on with Ruben either. This is where Jose comes in again. His relationship with his mother was strained and conflicted, which did not stop him from visiting them every so often to see his father and his 3 siblings. That day my great-grandparents were returning home, and of course Ruben's shouts, insults, and obscene rudeness were there to accompany them as they opened the door to their house. What he didn't count on was that Jose was arriving at the same moment and heard everything. The world went first black and then red. Like a worthy son of Mama Delia, Jose exploded. He lunged at Ruben 3 times. All 3 times, with a blow to the face, Ruben knocked him effortlessly to the ground. Faced with such a beast, anyone else would have abandoned the fight. Jose did not. Jose was used to the pain, the blood, and the bruises that remained weeks later. Jose had lost his fear of confrontation years ago. Jose stood up one last time, under Ruben's insults and taunts, and charged him. I don't know how he did it. Perhaps Ruben had let his guard down, but he managed to land a kick on his opponent's shin. Ruben did not fall to the ground completely, but he was destabilized. Ruben did not know it, but he had already lost. My great-uncle climbed on his back, as if riding a mad bull at a fair, grabbed him by the head and slammed him repeatedly against the pavement. The smashed face, the teeth scattered on the ground, and the torrent of blood were not enough for Jose. What he did next was to grab Ruben by the hair and drag him up and down the street. Twice, until my older great-uncle stopped him. The story ends with Ruben in the hospital, his face unrecognizable and deformed, and my uncle disappearing for a week to avoid any kind of retaliation. Never again did my great-grandparents have problems with Ruben, although Jose's relationship with Mama Delia never improved despite what happened.
So basically, OP, You have both Mega Karen and Giga Chad blood flowing through your veins. My God, OP. This is just depressing and kind of sounds like a disgustingly toxic family to tolerate someone who sounds like an abusive monster. And that's coming from a man who grew up in a very strict, religious, third world Asian country. Viewer support is the best way for me to remain independent and continue bringing you these daily videos, which will always be here on my channels for you to watch absolutely free. So please consider subscribing to me on Rumble and on YouTube. Both will be linked in the description box down below. Thanks for listening, everyone. If you even somewhat enjoyed today's story, make sure to give this video a thumbs up, and if you really like it, consider subscribing to PattSun to never miss a future upload. Stay strong.